Hello. Welcome to the Ohio State Animal Sciences Podcast. I'm Alec Reusch. Each episode of this less than 10-minute show will explore a different topic relating to animal science. These topics, when considered together, will hopefully help us better understand how animals fit within human culture. This first episode is called A Burger from the Beginning of Time. Now, whether or not you eat meat is your choice, but let's say, for the purposes of this thought experiment, that you are having dinner at your local burger joint and you order, well, a burger. A lot had to happen for that burger to make it to you. And that's what we're talking about today. Carl Sagan once said, "If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe." We won't be going quite as far back as, say, the Big Bang to discover where your burger came from. But this idea remains true here. A lot happened over the course of a very long time, just so you could have your dinner. We will be exploring three major topics that, when considered together, make it possible for you to enjoy your meal. The first is evolution, how animals developed at all. The next is breeding, how humans selectively chose desirable traits in animals. And our final consideration is meat products themselves, what makes meat good for consumption. The first stop on our journey starts billions of years ago. The father of evolution as we know it today was Charles Darwin, who wrote a book called On the Origin of Species. Darwin's theory of evolution relies on something called natural selection. Basically, this means that the species that are best adapted to survive in their environment will pass on their favorable traits to their offspring. This gradual process of adaptation and inheritance makes up what we understand to be evolution. Now, here's a brief timeline of important evolutionary events. This can all be found online in the form of a lovely infographic called The 25 Biggest Turning Points in Earth's History on bbc.com. Go check it out if you like. Now, the first life on Earth was single-celled organisms, which date back 3.5 billion years, maybe more. Keep in mind that the Earth itself is about 4.5 billion years old. These single-celled organisms became more complex about 1 or 2 billion years ago, developing into eukaryotes. About 1 billion years ago, we see the first multicellular life. Moving forward to about 500 million years ago, we have the Cambrian explosion, which was the appearance of many different types of animals within a short time of each other. About 375 million years ago, we see the first animals venture out of the sea onto land. Some fish developed legs and became reptiles and amphibians. 220 million years ago, while dinosaurs walked the earth, the first mammals evolved. Now, they were small, nocturnal creatures. We still have a long way to go before we see anything resembling a cow so that you can have your burger. Skipping ahead to about 65 million years ago, we have the meteorite that struck Earth and ended the reign of the dinosaurs. This, in part, allowed mammals to roam more freely and evolve further. The first primates evolved around 50 million years ago, the first hominids around 10 million years ago, and the first humans only around 200,000 years ago. Hopefully that gives you an idea of sort of the scope of time we're talking about. Life on Earth has existed for a long time, but life as we know it is relatively recent. But it's not just thanks to Mother Nature that animals are the way that they are. Once humans figured out how to use evolution in our favor, we wasted no time in doing so. Through the process of domestication, breeding, and artificial selection, we have picked desirable traits and made them more abundant in our animals. Compared to natural selection, artificial selection prompts a very rapid change. Take dogs, for example, which are domesticated from wolves. In a matter of just thousands of years, since humans have been domesticating them, they have changed dramatically. Compared to the millions of years it takes for natural selection, this is quite fast. Beyond just domesticating by selecting the tamest animals, we have also breeded to maximize other traits as well. This can be anything from litter size to milk production to, in the case of your burger, body shape to maximize meat. Breeding technology, like artificial insemination, has also helped move this along. For example, the semen of an elite bull can be shipped all over the world and used on many more cows than would be the case via natural breeding. Because of humans, A dairy cow is very different from a cow grown for its meat. We have used evolution to our advantage to get the most out of our livestock. Now that we know how animals evolved and how we have optimized them, it's time to talk about meat itself as an animal product. Meat contains a lot of nutrients that are beneficial for the human diet, notably protein and B vitamins. The meat that we consume is the muscle tissue of animals. Now, there are different types of muscles that have different functions. There is skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. Meat is composed of 65 to 80% water and 16 to 22% protein. The fat content varies, but meat can be anywhere from 1 to 13% lipid. Another important component of meat is myoglobin, a globular protein similar to hemoglobin. Myoglobin content determines the color of meat. Fish has little myoglobin, so it has a white color, but your burger, which is made of beef, has a lot of myoglobin, which is why it's red meat. Meat isn't all muscle. There is fat as well. This can be either subcutaneous, which means under the skin, intermuscular, between muscles, or intramuscular, within the muscle itself, and this is also known as marbling. The USDA, that's the United States Department of Agriculture, grades beef based on the abundance of marbling. The ground beef in your burger most likely comes from less tender and less popular cuts of beef, such as chuck, the upper part of the cow near the neck, round, the rear part of the cow, and sirloin, towards the back of the cow in the loin area. Ground beef can vary in fat content depending on if the desired outcome is something healthier or more flavorful. And there you have it. From the very first single-celled organisms on the planet billions of years ago, down to the very fat in the ground beef of your burger. I hope you have gained a better understanding of meat and what it took for it to exist, all the way from square one. Thank you for listening. I'm Alec Reusch, and this has been the Ohio State Animal Sciences Podcast. See you next time.